Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have another action figure review. This is going to be of the Bandai Tamashii Nations Robot Spirits Rebuild of Evangelion Side EVA Evangelion Production Model Unit 02 with Type S components. That was a mouthful there. So this figure actually I've been holding on to since last summer, and it is sold out by now. I got it from Big Bad Toy Store. However, there is a new version coming out. I believe it's called the beta version, that comes with some extra accessories, so it's a little bit more expensive, but it does come with some more and bigger accessories, so you do have an option again to try to get this. That will be out next summer. I like the Rebuild movies. I don't like it as much as the original series. I love that series. I thought the Rebuild films were okay, but I did want to get at least Eva's Unit 0, 1, and 2. I don't know if we'll get Mari's Eva yet. Well, time will tell. But yeah, I'm just giving you a quick look at the packaging because this version of the packaging has been out for a little while now, so some of you may be familiar with it. I've been really late to this review. Let's go ahead and get this figure out of the packaging. And here's the figure out of the packaging. I think they captured Eva Unit 2 really nicely here. I really like it a lot. It's about the same quality as the previous Evas I've reviewed on the channel, which is pretty good. I haven't messed around with it too much, so I don't know what issues I'm going to come across yet, but we'll get there where we get there, I guess. Let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories. It comes with a lot. Then we'll take a close look at the figure. Like with pretty much any imports figure, we have an instruction booklet. This shows you pretty much how to use all the different accessories and what the accessories are. I can't read it, unfortunately. It's not in a language I understand. So, just taking a look here, visual representation should help you if you're going to get this figure and need to look at the instructions. Other than that, these are all the accessories this figure comes with. Pretty much a lot. Some reuse, not really a lot of reuse from previous ones. Really just that cord right there. But lots of great accessories for this particular Eva. First, I'll start with the hands. And I'm going to try to go through the hands quickly because all the hands have similar molding plastic, mostly how that light gray comes out with similar, the yellow and red paint apps throughout all hands. The knuckles are really nicely detailed in there, nice and protruding. There's even a little bit of sculpting where the red dots are. It's a tiny bit of yellow seeping through where that circle is supposed to be painted red, but it looks fine. We do have some details on the hands, some line work. All of this looks really nice. I like how the palms came out too. I think I showed the... Nah, I just dropped that hand. I showed the back of the hand. I could show off some of these other hands. Yikes. We do have some actually... These hands show off some better detail in the fingers and thumbs, as well as the inside of the palms. That's sick. So those are those open, sprawled out, posed hands. We have these clenched hands. The only time I can remember similar hands. I mean, these hands have been used before, but mostly these hands were for that AT field. Ripping through, that was the same hands with Eva Unit 1. We do have these more relaxed down to the side hands. These look good, nicely molded gray plastic again. And the red dots are pretty consistent, so it's just a couple of the hands might have a little bit of inconsistent paint when it comes to those red dots. But the paint, for the most part, for a $70 import figure at the time, it's really nice. And you do have these flat running hands with the thumb going inward. Last but not least, we have these smaller trigger hands. So these are really meant for the knives, which I'll talk about in a second, and this weapon. She comes packaged with larger, trigger hands, and I'll talk about that in a second as well. This rifle here is really sick. I love how it came out. It has this folded down, almost like a bayonet piece, with that metal peg in there connecting it. And this is a little bit delicate. It's a tiny bit sharp, but you're not going to hurt yourself. It's just be careful. It's pretty stiff plastic. There's some nice silver paint, metallic silver paint on there. It seems like it's, I don't know if it's actually painted like this, but this matte light gray, like tealish gray, looks great. I really love how that color came out. We also have some yellow on the bottom of the rifle, as well as some black in there. That's really cool. Trigger, all those nice, lines sculpted in there. The stock too. I really like that. So let's go ahead and actually talk about the knives. She comes with 2 of these. I said she. It's a thing. But it doesn't really matter. This here, it has some really nice metallic silver. There's actually some red on the inside where you see the hole, and getting that in there is not easy. I mean, this could be molded in red and painted over with silver, and they did a really good job making it not look red at all through the silver. That metallic paint is beautiful. I really like the yellow around here towards the handle, and it's mostly just a flat gray plastic when we get to the handle, which it still looks fine though. So this is this. I don't remember her using this in the film, but it's just I could have been one of that. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. It's been a little over a year since I've seen it. This is like a crossbow looking weapon. It actually has 2 hinges for the stock, so you can bend it this way or you can bend it this way. Now the smaller trigger fingers I showed off earlier, because of how the handle is shaped, you're gonna want to use these hands that the figure comes packaged with. These have a more open grip, and I'll show off some images towards the end of the review. There's some chapters down in the description too, if you want to just skip to that. Of the figure holding this, because you could use the smaller trigger hands, but the trigger finger placement is not wide enough to go in here. So that's the reason why you're going to want to use the open trigger hands that the figure comes packaged with. Anyway, when we take a closer look, I really like this lighter gray plastic that's painted on here. It's mostly molded in this darker gray. It could have some better paint all throughout, but lighter gray parts are painted on here. I believe this might be molded in this metallic silver, and it looks really good, towards the end of the barrel, as well as the whatever these are supposed to be on the sides here. That looks really sick, and I really like a lot of where the rivets are supposed to be. Again, the hinging is a really sick mechanic. So yeah, I really dig how this came out. These are really cool accessories so far with the figure. I don't have a Tamashii base on me, but this is a connector piece. You plug the Tamashii base into the hole, and then the little bottom part of the figure here, you would clip into there, and then you can make it run if you needed to. Again, I can't find mine, unfortunately. These afterburner pieces, we get 2 of these, and I believe they should be marked left and right. If they're not, I'll have to look. But they are pretty identical with each other. They're mostly molded in this bright red paint that have some panel lines and some yellow painted here. The idea is you'll just pop this out on the arm, and then you'll pop this in, and it's actually really easy to swap in too. Pretty much the same thing for these like winged thruster pieces. They are they're symmetrical, but they are a completely different sculpt. And we have some, I guess this is molded in a silver, where these these vents are, whatever they would do the propulsion system. I don't know what the word I'm thinking of is right now. Black, I think it's molded. No, I think it's painted in black and it's molded in red. The white and the yellow paint come through really nice. All that sculpting is really good. There's even some minor like red and blue on here. That's really cool. Right here and here. It's a little bit messed up on this one. It's fine though. And you can see those little ball joints right there. The idea is, I'm not going to do this often because sometimes this is a delicate system to do. You want to essentially, no, I don't think I'm doing that right. You want to take one of these, put it over the shoulder, and pop it in that socket. You will hear a tiny pop, and it fits in there just fine. So you have a different flight mode for the EVA. So that's pretty cool. Again, I'm not going to do that often because I'm afraid I'm going to break something. Last but not least, we have the cord here, the charging cord. I think it's the umbilical cord. I forget exactly what they would call it. It's been a while since I watched EVA, guys. We do have some really nice, like, blued steel type details right here. This would go into a Tamashii base. And then all of this with the red paint. This is the exact same paint, I think, and sculpt that you would get with units 0 and 1 in the same line. I felt like there's a little bit of some silver mismatch somewhere. It's supposed to look blued off, and then some of it looks a little too silver in some areas. I think that's just the light. It looks great, and we do have a bendy wire in here, so that's really cool. Lots of great accessories with this figure. So to do some quick measurements, we're looking at a little over 17 centimeters at the top of the shoulders. That's a little over 16 and a half centimeters at the top of the head. That's gonna make this figure about 6.5 inches at the top of the head, and getting really close to 7 inches at the top of the shoulder span. That's a pretty large figure, and it's about the same height as the rest of the Rebuild EVAs in this line. Really great detailing in the head. I really like the emerald green that they use for like the eyes or the viewfinders, whatever these would be on the on the EVA The panel lines come through really nice. They are individually sculpted where you see the white and the red. So it's painted in white, and I believe it's molded in red. It still all looks really good. The molded red could look a little bit better. Maybe, I mean, it's the colors. I wanted to say it would maybe a little bit more metallic, but the colors in the anime and in the movies, they're not really metallic. So they're going with accuracy. And if it's molded like this, and it's supposed to look like this, I'm fine with it. I really like that orange, like reddish, whatever's supposed to be at the top of the head there. All that looks really good back there. And I think this is where you would, the pilot would go in, I believe. If I remember correctly, I think Unit 1's was removable. This one is not. I'm not even going to attempt to pop that out. That's where the umbilical cord would go, where that's like maroonish type paint there with some black. Looks like we have some paint. This actually looks like separate pieces that they glued in here or molded into here. These black back panels, I should say. We have this maroon, like dark reddish brownish type paint going on in the neck there too. It's mostly molded in the red here, like I mentioned, but you do have like the yellow right there on the chest with some black lines on the top of the chest, and these shoulder pieces that have green and red. These arms actually do pop off like Unit 1s and Unit 0s, but there's really no reason to do that. I popped it off earlier. It takes me a little bit to get it back on there, but it's cool that you have that option. And these, we actually have some nice detailing in the shoulder pieces, I should say. We have some vents here. I believe it's painted in black and molded in red here. We also have some yellow painted there. The inside looks different, as you can see. Oh, that looks really good. And then we have down to the forearms, these pieces that could pop off. It's mostly molded in red like I showed off. And we have yellow paint here. These are those larger gripped trigger hands for that crossbow looking weapon. We have some nice black paint on the white here. I believe the white, some of it's molded. I think in the stomach, it's actually painted. I could be wrong. It could be molded, but it feels like paint in there. So that's also really good. All of it looks consistent too, like the molded and painted parts. All of it sometimes I can't tell what's painted and what's molded, and that's a good thing. So yeah, I dig that. All those different separated panels. And then we get to the back here with the spine, that light gray. That looks great. We have some black lines going all throughout the sides of the torso. Yeah, that looks great. And the under parts are black. Dig that. It's like an orange piece right here on the back. It's just molded, sculpted mold. What am I trying to say? Red is molded like that. And it looks like maybe a little bit of matte black paint in there. I don't know for certain. I do like the panel lining in the thighs. Do these pop out like Unit 1s? They do not, I don't think. I'm not going to force anything that shouldn't. They look like that. Some of it's so separated with the panel lines that looks like it should pop out. But I'm just not going to force anything. This figure's not sold anymore. So, yeah, I don't want to break it. We do get to the top of the shins. These pieces that stick out here have some nice yellow. And then we do have the white pieces on the front of the shins. Really nice little small black dots that are painted on the top of the feet here. Again, lots of great panel lines, even on like the calves and like would be on the thighs. The curvatures right here of how this is designed with those pieces sticking out of the hips. That looks good too. The back here, those joints don't stick out too bad if you ask me. I mean, you can kind of tell with some of the joints like up in the shoulders. Yeah, there's some metal there, so it's a little distracting. Not that bad. Get down to the bottom of the feet. Look at that. Look at the great details. That's fantastic. We have some like yellow pieces on the heels, on the ball of the foot. There's these yellow circles, whatever's going on here. Nice light gray, and there's some yellow and red throughout, the seams there. What would be the seams? I don't really know what exactly. It's around the foot here. So really, really good paint. There's like really small areas of this figure that have paint, and there's very little splotching. I'm really impressed with how they did some of the paint. Again, some of the joints are they stand out a little bit too much, like the shoulders here, with how I can just tell that they're metal and they don't look like they're supposed to fit in there. I still dig it though. It's still a really great looking piece. A lot of SH Figure Arts figures and Tamashii Nations figures in general, they have really good articulation. This figure's no exception. Lots of ball joints going into the head and the neck here. It's a little bit tight because of some of the Some of the sculpting will get in a little bit of the way. I mean, it can do a 360 decently, but it gets snagged in some areas, and once it gets snagged right now, I thought it was about to break something. But it rotates there. You know, it could pivot a little bit. I'm having a little bit of trouble with pivoting mine, but the up and down's pretty good. We have a little bit of a pivot at the neck going into the body. Forward and back's a little, you know, kind of moves around a bit. So, yeah, ooh, there we go. The head goes down that far with all that additional articulation. Head can go up that far, which doesn't seem like it should be that far, but it's still a decent amount. We have a little bit of a drop-down system here for the shoulders, so it can pivot downward, and it's a little bit of a ball joint, so we can go forward and back, kind of like a butterfly joint. Arms go all the way around. They stick out all the way, even with these pieces, because of the ball joint. They'll move like this, or they really won't get in the way of shoulder articulation. That's really nice. Upper arm swivel in here. We do have a single joint elbow, but it gets really good bend, definitely over 90. We also get a swivel here at this part of the elbow and this part of forearm. You have the standard wrist system with a lot of Tamashii Nations figures. It has 2 different rotations and it hinges, so you can make it go up and down, and you can make it go in and out. Lots of ball joints here at the torso. One up here, one up here. It's a little bit tight. One up here, and that just popped off. I'll pop that on in a second. All that allows for pivoting like this, side to side. Rotation could be better. Forward and back is actually, the forward motion rocks. The back could be better, but there's still a lot of pretty good articulation. The rotation could be a lot better too. I think there's a little bit of a drop down system for the legs, so it goes down, up and down, and you can make it kick out all the way out there like that and kick all the way back. That's really good. It's a little bit tight, but we have an upper thigh swivel in here too, and you do see the double jointed knees in there. The metal pins are covered really well, I think. This part likes to hinge a little bit so it can move. That's really sick. You have rotation here at the ankle, up and down. This piece right here that covers the front of the feet is on a ball joint, the front of an ankle, I should say. So it can move around a little bit. And then we do have more of a traditional pivot side to side, kind of like with Toy Biz Marvel Legends. I think I already showed the up and down. The forward going upward, because of this, is a little hindered. Down's pretty good. We do have toe articulation. For quick size comparisons, here are the other EVAs I reviewed on the channel a while ago from the rebuild stuff. Looks like Unit 0 is a tiny bit taller. I mean, it could be how the figure's posed right now, but just a tiny bit taller than the other 2 EVAs. But all of them are about the same height. And I know these figures aren't going to scale with Marvel Legends and Stars of Black series, of course, but these are the 2, Black Suit Spider-Man and First Ever Mando that I bring out just for general size comparisons. And they're actually all going to be a tiny bit taller than Marvel Legends, and definitely taller than Black series. Overall, I'm very satisfied with this figure. I think it's great, and I don't know what took me this long to finally open it. The articulation is great for the most part, except for the stomach and the head. That's really my only issue, is that, there's a little bit limited in those areas. But the rest of it, like the arms and legs, are really sick. The weapons are awesome. The hands are also really sick. But back to the weapons, they're really, really sick. I love those weapons. The arm parts seem a little delicate, but they actually work really well. Once you get it all in there, it looks and works just really, really great. This figure looks great with the rest of my EVAs too, from rebuilds. So yeah, it's just a really fun piece. I don't know if I'm going to get Mari's EVA. I might just stick with these 3 here. Only time will tell. I kind of wish we would get original versions of the Gainax EVAs. I don't know if there's a rights issue there, but for now, these are really good stand-ins if you like that particular version. If you didn't watch the rebuilds, if you like the rebuilds and you want to get these, then there you go. But this particular version of EVA Unit 2 is sold out for now, but there is a new version, the beta version. I will leave down in the description below, and I will let you know that is the different version that's coming out next year. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the figure, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.